Good morning, class 5 students. Today I will continue with the same chapter, food and prevention. So now we will study with another type of deficiency disease, that is goiter. Now, what is goiter and how is it caused? This disease is caused by the deficiency of iodine. This disease causes the swelling of the thyroid gland in the neck. Goiter can be prevented by using iodized salt in food. Seafood is also rich in iodine. So this disease called goiter, it is caused when there is less iodine in your body, when there is deficiency of iodine in your body. So how is it caused? It is caused by swelling of the thyroid gland in the neck. So there is a gland present in your neck. It is called the thyroid gland, and that thyroid gland will begin to swell if the level of iodine in your body is too less. Now, how is it prevented? How can we prevent goiter? Goiter can be prevented by using iodized salt in food. Seafood is also rich in iodine. So, if goiter can be prevented, that means it can be cured, it can be stopped by taking iodized salt. So remember that whenever you buy salt, you should always check that it is written iodized salt. Alright, so you should use this salt in your food, and also seafood has rich content of iodine in it. So iodized salt and seafood are rich sources of iodine. Other than that, these are some of the sources which has rich iodine in it: spinach, strawberry, sea salt, broccoli, cranberries, coconut oil, fennel seeds, crystal salt, and watercress. Now, next type of deficiency diseases is anemia. Now, what is anemia and how is it caused? It is caused by the deficiency of iron in food. So if there is less content of iron in your body, it will cause anemia. A person suffering from anemia looks pale and tired, has colorless lips and pale flat nails. In anemia, the hemoglobin level in the blood decreases, so the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood reduces. So what happens to a person suffering from anemia? The person suffering from anemia will look pale. That means will look very light skinned. Alright, will look pale and will always look tired, and also the lips will be very pale, colorless, and also the nails also will be very pale and flat. So why is this happening in anemia? Why do people suffering from anemia look pale? It is because the hemoglobin level in the blood decreases. That means hemoglobin is the pigment that is present in the blood that makes it red. So if this hemoglobin is very less, if the level of hemoglobin is very less in the blood, it causes the person to look pale. So the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood reduces. So the blood also will have less hemoglobin, and it will carry less oxygen in it because there is no proper amount of hemoglobin in the blood. This disease can be cured by taking food rich in iron, such as apple, spinach, banana, pulses, egg yolk, liver, brinjal, jaggery, and guava. So these are the food that you can take. A person who is suffering from anemia can take these types of food in order to have rich iron content in their body. Alright, next we're going to study about the communicable diseases. So what are communicable diseases? First, we studied about the non-communicable diseases and also the deficiency diseases, and now we are going to study about the communicable diseases. These are the diseases that can pass on from one person to another. Thus, these diseases are also known as infectious diseases. Now, communicable diseases, remember that communicable diseases are those diseases that can be passed on from one person to another. That means if an infected person is is near a healthy person and he begins to cough or sneeze near the healthy person, that means that healthy person will also begin to fall sick. So it can pass on, the disease that can pass on from one person to another, from a healthy from a sick person or an infected person to a healthy person. That means that type of diseases is called communicable diseases. Thus, these diseases are also known as infectious diseases. So remember that communicable diseases are those diseases that are passed on from a sick person to a healthy person, and it is also known as infectious diseases. Causes of communicable diseases. Now let us see how are these communicable diseases caused. These diseases are caused by the tiny living organisms called germs that enter our body. Germs are so small that they cannot be seen by the naked eye, but can only be seen under a microscope. Hence are called microorganisms or microbes. Microbes are found everywhere. They grow rapidly whenever they get warmth, food, and air. They can grow even inside the body of humans and animals. So, how are communicable diseases caused? They are caused by these tiny organisms, tiny living organisms that are called germs. So, when these germs enter our body, they will begin to cause these diseases. So germs, they are so small that we cannot see them with our eye. The only way we can see them is through a microscope. So that is why they are also called as microbes. So germs cannot be seen by the naked eye but only under a microscope. That is why they are also called microbes. Now microbes are found everywhere. That means everywhere, all in the air, water that we drink, the air that we breathe, the water, the objects around us, all of these things, they have microbes in them. That means they are found everywhere. They grow rapidly whenever they get warmth, food, and air. So that means these microbes, they can grow, they can multiply fast if they have food, if they get food, if they get warmth, and if they have proper air. So they can grow even inside the body of human and animals. So if these microbes happen to enter into our body, they can even grow inside our body. Now let us see what are the different types of germs or the different types of microbes. The first one is bacteria. Now, what is a bacteria? You can see here in this picture, that is a structure of a bacteria. That is how some of the bacteria look like. This is one example of how a bacteria look like. These can cause diseases like typhoid, plague, tuberculosis, pneumonia, and meningitis. So these are the diseases that are caused by bacteria. What are they? They are typhoid, plague, tuberculosis or TB, pneumonia, and meningitis. Now another type of microbes is viruses. Now, as you know, now what is going on right now is that there is a virus that is causing all this pandemic right now all around the world. So let us see, how does it look like? Do you see the picture there of a virus? That is one example of how a virus looks like. Now these are small agents that can grow only inside the body of living organisms. Now viruses are those organisms that can only grow inside the body of living organisms. That means they cannot grow outside the body of living organisms, but they can only grow inside the body of living organisms. They cause diseases like common cold, measles, chickenpox, polio, and influenza. So these are some of the diseases caused by viruses. They are common cold, measles, chickenpox, polio, and influenza. Now next type of microbes are protozoa. Now protozoa, you can see in this picture, how does it look like? This is a structure of a protozoa. They cause diseases like malaria and amoebic dysentery. So these are the diseases caused by protozoa. Next are fungi. They cause skin diseases like ringworm. As you can see here, this picture, this is the fungi that causes skin diseases, ringworm. All right, this is the fungi that causes the skin disease called ringworm. So it looks like this. All right, now how can these communicable diseases spread? Spread of communicable diseases. Communicable diseases can be spread in various ways, such as below: through direct contact. So as you can see in this picture, the infected person, the person who is sick, begins to shake hands with the healthy person. So that is direct contact. So communicable diseases can spread through direct contact. This is one way in which communicable diseases spread. Many diseases like common cold, measles, chickenpox, whooping cough, ringworm, and scarlet fever spread through direct contact with a sick person or from the clothing or other articles such as handkerchief, etc., used by a sick person. So if a sick person comes in contact with a healthy person, it causes the spread of these communicable diseases. What are they? It causes the spread of common cold, measles, chickenpox, whooping cough, ringworm, and even scarlet fever. So even if they come in contact with the clothes or handkerchief of the infected person, of the person who is sick, so the healthy person will also might get sick. Next is another mode of spreading the communicable diseases is through infected food and water. Diseases like cholera and typhoid spread by infected food and water carrying germs. These diseases mostly affect the digestive system. Flies, cockroaches, rats, and other small animals carry germs from garbage in sewers and deposit them on uncovered food and water. Handling food with dirty hands and lack of proper sanitation are the main causes of contaminated food and water. Consuming milk and meat of diseased animals can also cause infection. So, another way of spreading the communicable diseases is through infected food and water. So, if the food is not covered or if the food is not kept in a well clean environment, that is how the food will be infected, and if we begin to consume that food, we might fall sick. So some diseases that are spread through infected food and water are cholera and typhoid. What happens when what happens and how do the food and the water get infected? Some of the flies, the cockroaches and rats, after they had traveled from a dirty environment, such as from garbage cans or from sewers, and they begin to enter the place where you keep your food. If your house is not clean enough, they begin to enter inside your house, and if you don't cover your food, they will begin to um, they will crawl on your food, and then they will deposit some of the germs from their body on your food. So that is how the food gets infected, and this type of disease always affect the digestive system. That means it affects your stomach and your intestine. All right, so handling food with dirty hands and lack of proper sanitation are the main causes of contaminated food and water. So even if your hands are dirty, and if you touch your food with dirty hands, and if you don't have proper sanitation, that means if you don't keep your hands clean, or if your things are not clean enough at home, these can also cause diseases. So even if you consume milk, that means if you drink milk or if you eat the meat of an animal which is sick, that is also how you can get the communicable diseases. That is how you can get infected. Now next is through air. Another way of spreading of the communicable diseases is through air. Diseases like cold, pneumonia, and TB spread through the air. When a person suffering from these diseases coughs or sneezes, droplets containing germs are thrown out in the air. When a healthy person breathes in this air, germs enter his body and make him sick. So another way of spreading of the communicable diseases is through the air. So if a person who is suffering from cold, pneumonia, tuberculosis begins to cough or begins to sneeze near a healthy person, all these germs present in the person who is sick, present in the mouth of the person who is sick, will be thrown into the air. And then if there is a healthy person standing close to the person who is sick and he begins to breathe in this air, he also will become sick. All right, so that is how diseases spread through air. Now another way of spreading of communicable diseases is through animals. Now diseases like dengue, malaria, etc. spread by bite of animals. The animals carry germs from a sick person to another host. These animals are thus intermediaries and are called vectors. Mosquitoes are the most common vector. So another way of spreading of the communicable diseases is through these mosquitoes. If diseases like dengue, malaria. So dengue and malaria are these diseases that are caused by the bite of these mosquitoes. So these mosquitoes will begin to will carry the germs from the sick person to another host, because it sucks the blood from the sick person, then it begins to carry that same blood from that sick person to a healthy person, and again it will continue to cause diseases in the healthy person. So the way that the mosquitoes are called as vectors, because they carry the diseases from a sick person to a healthy person. So thus these animals are called vectors. Mosquitoes are the most common vector. So the most common vector are mosquitoes, because they carry diseases from a sick person to a healthy person. Now some of the diseases caused by these vectors are as follows. Dengue is caused by a vector, the mosquito Aedes mosquito. Now malaria is caused by Anopheles mosquito, and sleeping sickness is caused by tsetse fly. So remember these diseases and the vectors, or the mosquitoes, the vectors that carry these diseases. Aedes mosquito carries dengue, Anopheles mosquito carries malaria, and tsetse fly carries the sickness, the diseases, sleeping sickness. So these are some of the communicable diseases and how are they spread. So watch this video carefully, remember the important points, and I will add some questions along with this video to check whether you have understand or not. Alright, so I will continue with this chapter in the next class. So try to start studying, go through the important points. You have your textbook with you right now, so you can check from your textbook the objectives, the fill in the blanks, the true or false, try to solve them. Alright, and I will give you another assignment where you can submit those fill in the blanks, true or false, that are from the textbook. Alright, so thank you class, and see you in the next class.